salvation.
If I pray for help from above, might as well pray to the homeless. At least they how them could say, money's man-made, yeah, it's God's only currency. Why should I do this? Why should I be the better man? It's a hypocrisy. Why don't you understand? Why don't you understand? Why don't you understand?
This is salvation.
Holy places built on broken bones. Holy places built on broken
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Boise State Esports broadcast. I'm your host, Jacob Jim Mountain Palmer, and tonight we take a short break from collegiate esports to bring you some high school action. Because high schools all across the country are, of course, getting into esports, and institutions like Boise State are always looking for opportunities to, shall we say, scout out new talent. And joining me to help scout out that new talent tonight, I've got Madison Nerdy Bird Benj joining me, an expert in Overwatch in the local Boise scene. And this should be a very interesting night for us tonight, Nerdy, because looking over all the teams and all the high school, we could not ask for kind of a greater microcosm of Overwatch, because looking at all the players that we have in the high school teams tonight, we're seeing skill rankings from bronze to masters. So kind of a bit of everything tonight.
Yeah, and granted, when we are used to our level of gameplay here at the college scene, we see players that are typically, diamond to SR to above that, to possibly top 500, but when you open up that door to allow for it to be more of that club and team environment that you get with high school, that will allow for a lot more range of skill to be introduced, we'll see a lot more interesting comps come out of it, so it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
A lot of interesting comps and a lot of interesting teams for us tonight, as you saw in the graphic here. This is going to be Francis Howell Central versus Hannibal High School. High School being the Pirates, so I kind of like that. A school mascot that isn't an animal for once, because with colleges we're all used to a lot of wolves and canines and felines as well. So just a little bit of a break from that. But not only that, but we also are entering these matches with Overwatch, of course, being continually updated with balance changes that just came out yesterday.
Yeah, so with these balance changes that are always happening, especially during the competitive period like it is right now, these balance changes are going to affect what we're seeing this evening. And honestly, I don't know how we'll see the meta change for these players because their skill range is so different than what we're used to seeing. We could be seeing comps that we haven't seen in, 4 or 5 seasons.
Well, this is certainly a new sight, starting out not with the standard control map, but instead just going right into Temple of Anubis 2CP in the best of 5 tonight.
Yeah, and we are actually looking at Francis right now is pulling out that Ryan Zarya comp along with a Widowmaker and a Reaper for their DPS, and then of course Moira Lucio as their main supports. Hannibal is choosing to, oh, never mind, that was actually Hannibal. And then Francis is actually deciding to go with the Genji Junkrat play and dive tanks. So this will be very interesting as these are both very different comps.
Are very different comps. Now give us just a little bit of an overview of what this kind of very crucial choke point is. Temple of Anubis having one of kind of the more prominent choke points.
Okay, so when we're looking at this choke point right now, we have the high ground that's going to be controlled by Yoda, the Widowmaker on the side of Francis. And you can see Yoda actually just got this huge pick right here on the Winston. It forces the enemy team that's attacking to really be paying attention to those the field of view of the enemy players and making sure that they're using natural cover and line of sight. Otherwise, they can get picked out very easily. But thankfully, the Zenyatta on the side of the defending team was also able to take out, well, the attacking team was able to take out that Widowmaker, providing a little bit more of an opening here at this choke point. But they need to group up and push together and not let their DPS go in alone like they did to begin with.
Well, D.Va is going to certainly go up to the upper level and have that mech mowed down by Marble. So now all they got is a baby D.Va, so that's one of their tanks down right now, as Hannibal is still doing a job of keeping the team from going. You also see the Widowmaker up there, but they are a little bit split up as they're going to decide to go along this side route. Zephyr taking a bit of damage there, almost eliminated, and now he's going to be taken out by Yoda. Stinky's going to answer that by taking out Marble, so both teams at equal strength right here. Francis Howell Central is trying to kind of peek out of this door and find a way to the point.
Yeah, and we do still see that this Widowmaker from the side of Francis is staying in that archway in the middle, really forcing the defensive side of Hannibal to stay by the buildings and ruining their sightlines on the enemy team, giving a clear opportunity for Howell's team to actually rotate into more optimal positioning here. But because they are rotating so slow, it is allowing for the defending team to get back up to full force. And unfortunately, sending in your D.Va like that by herself uses up a lot of her natural resources, and I'm very shocked she made it out of that with her tank still intact.
Yeah, I was thinking that was just going to be mowed down like last time. We have seen this D.Va kind of dive in by herself here, and now the Transcendence is going to be used by Zenyatta as well as the Nano Boost and the Infrared Sight, so all the ultimates are being thrown at Francis Howell as well as the Graviton Surge and Coalescence by Hannibal, and Hannibal is going to be able to hold it despite the debuff taking out one. That Coalescence doing great work taking out Ghost Rider from Francis Howell, so all of those ultimates thrown by Francis Howell and no ticks to show for it.
Yeah, and we do actually see Hannibal is having their Tracer try to go toe-to-toe with the Widowmaker on the side of Howell. It unfortunately was not enough. We do hear Reaper trying to go take out that Widow, and that Widow is just not going down. The Lucio thankfully took care of it. However, that is setting back both of the teams right now, so neither are at full power as they're going into this attack. This massive shatter that just came out from this Reinhardt's going to take out 2 on the side of Hannibal. That was an incredible shatter from him. Well, actually on Francis' side as we go into this next fight. But are you noticing that I'm seeing like almost as the Qs are charging, they're being hit?
Yeah. Normally when we kind of see these matches, we can see, 4 or 5, even sometimes 6 ultimates being brought up by the collegiate teams. But this is kind of a much more reactionary style of play. Is when I see my ultimates ready, I hit Q trying to turn it around, and that really is kind of adding a different dynamic. Speaking of the Qs, though, we do see the Riptire and the Death Blossom are available to both teams should the respective players on their teams choose to use it. Francis Howell is going to see their Ashe taken out early, so that is, I would normally say, force a soft reset from Francis Howell, but you wouldn't necessarily know that right now.
Yeah, that's very true. We do see that we've got a Junkrat Tire that's kind of doing a Jay Silly move from behind right here. I'm wondering if that... Oh my goodness! That was... Oh my gosh.
That tire,
That was
triple
beautiful.
tire, that was absolutely beautiful. And it's not like they didn't know it was there. They were all turning around, but he still managed to outmaneuver them. Asteroid is going to still try to save this by taking out one of the members of Francis Howell. I do believe that was Joss's. So now Francis Howell still isn't at full strength. Uh-oh is going to do great work on that Ash by getting 3 eliminations. That might just be what Francis Howell needed to kindly take the point, and not a moment too soon, as they took the maximum amount of time they had to take it.
That rip tire, I don't know if it was, I'm going to give that player a pro gamer move moment. I'm pretty sure they were like, watch this hit Q, and got that triple kill knowing that they were going to do it because it was just too clean.
Well, now Hannibal High School, they do have a lot of ultimates built up on their side. They just bought the Coalescence online. Now they also have the potential combo with the Death Blossom and the Gravitron Surge available. And the Gravitron Surge is going to come out right after Bob was used by Francis Howell. However, there goes the bomb as well. Ghost Rider and Uh-Oh are going to be the ones getting the eliminations for Francis Howell, putting them at a slight advantage. And the res coming on to Zephyr is going to make that advantage even more, as Force is taken out on the side of Hannibal. And the point is going to start being taken as they are very close to getting to that first tick.
One of the very key things here in Overwatch is making sure that you combo those ultimates when necessary. Granted, that was a fantastic Death Blossom kill for a double kill on the side of Reaper for Hannibal. However, they could have comboed that with the Graviton Surge. That does come down to communicating with your teammates and something that comes with experience. So hopefully as these players play longer together, they will learn to get those combos and those communications and the timing down just perfect to see massive plays of the game together.
Yeah, that was the one thing that had me a little bit confused in that last engagement, is I heard the Graviton Surge coming out, and I was waiting to hear the Death Blossom, and it didn't come. And it's just kind of a force of habit, as you know, when you see enough of these games, once you hear one ultimate, you just kind of almost expect to start hearing the other.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we do actually see that Tracer is very close to Pulse Bomb right here with her ultimate, as well as the Genji on the side of Francis, but there's not going to be a blade, a nano for that. So there might be if their Ana is able to get that extra 40% charge during this engage, and we could see a possible double, if not triple kill coming out from that Genji. And I spoke too soon, Caster Curse, the Genji is already dead, but the Tracer Pulse Bomb unfortunately did miss. But we do see Frosty already taking out the McCree on the side of Francis. Thank goodness Fish is not here.
Yeah, he would never let us hear the end of that. But Francis Howell isn't hearing the end of all these eliminations coming through from Marble, who's doing great work taking out the Zarya and Anna from Francis Howell. And I think we very much could be seeing a repeat of what we saw on the first point, because that time is gradually taking down, meaning that Francis Howell might have to just try to throw what they have here toward Hannibal. Now they do have that Nano Blade combo available, as well as the Graviton Surge and the Earth Shatter as well. So this is kind of Francis Howell's kind of last charge here.
Because of the level of ultimates on both sides here, Francis Howell needs to get in and get a clean, quick kill, clear the point quickly, and make sure that they are able to kill the staggers that come on after. But not countering that Shatter is going to be a very bad thing, because it did allow Marvel to open up and get 2 kills. The Genji plays coming out a little late, as well as the grab. And that kill speed from the side of Hannibal is just unrelenting. They hit those Qs first and were a little bit better with it, so they are going to full hold on point B for Temple of Anubis.
Francis Howell is only going to be able to get 1 point there, meaning that Hannibal doesn't even need to get 2 points. They just got to get 1 tick on the second point to be able to take this home and get the first victory in what I see is a best of 5. So we're actually going to go to 3. We've been having so many best of 3s lately. So it's kind of a nice, a little bit of a taste of previous semesters going back to best of 5s.
Oh yeah, for sure. And starting out on a 2 CP, I'm not going to lie, I do not envy any of these students whatsoever. I have a burning hatred for 2 CP. I love them and I still hate them. I will always hate them. It is because of the snowball ability that takes place, as we're probably going to unfortunately see here. It's just not fun for anyone to have to deal with that. It's like you either get both points or you get like almost none, is how it feels like. So either way, this is a tough map to begin on. I'm excited for the other maps because this is kind of more just their warm-up, and I'm kind of catching some trends coming from both teams. So if my theory is correct, I think we're going to see a full point take on point 1 with a use of maybe 1 ultimate, and then all 5 ults being popped on point B.
Well, we will have to see if that prediction does come true. Speaking of the ultimates, it is interesting just seeing, you know, this different level of play, and the fact that these ultimates aren't being used in the combos that we have come to know. And is there just, you know, if you're with a team, maybe you're in solo clear or something, and just that combo ability that's with a team that's well communicating isn't there? Is there a little bit in a difference in how you choose to use your ultimates?
I feel like there definitely is, and it's that solo queuer mentality that we do see a lot, even at our level of gameplay, that you kind of have to stick with in these situations if the communication level is not high enough. But as these teams play together longer, they will realize how important it is to be communicating with one another and pairing their abilities, as we do see for Widowmaker on the side of Hannibal getting taken out by Genji, and that Genji then taking out the Lucio, and that really could have been prevented had somebody turned around and said, hey, help.
Yeah, the Widow was unfortunately caught out there. The Reinhardt's going to be the next one eliminated, being taken out by the Sigma. So Hannibal is going to find themselves at a disadvantage. They're going to peel back, go for a little bit of a reset right now. That Genji work, taking out the Widow early on, has gotten him the highest charge rate of the ultimate, going up to 70. So he should be having that blade be available to him very soon. We also see the Echo being used by Yoda, and they're going to try to take the same route here, up and around the side.
That rotation was clean. That was a clean rotation. I'm sorry, but they
no,
made
no.
this
You got
swap.
if you see, if you see skill, you gotta call it out. Fortunately for Yoda, he was almost eliminated there, taking a lot of heavy damage. Styranol ultimates available as now they've pushed through now onto the top level. Yoda's gonna get, but the blade is gonna come out from Stinky, able to take out the Reinhardt Marbles. And Yoda, though, are carrying Francis Howell, pushing them, preventing them, excuse me, from getting the point, as Zephyr does get the eliminations there.
I'm not going to lie, the DPS on both sides are actually doing a fantastic job. Yoda survived way longer than I had fully anticipated during that engage. It's very risky to be playing a Widowmaker not a Widowmaker, an Echo into any comp without a Mercy, just because of how reliant you are of that pocket, so to speak. So that Echo survivability was incredible during that last engage.
Now we see Marble there was trying to get some damage onto the Mercy as she popped Valkyrie. Marble is going to continue that by taking out Ghost Rider as well, as Hannibal continues to try to take the point, as the Reinhardt is going to be able to eliminate Justice, and Zarya is also going to be able to eliminate Diana. So good eliminations from Hannibal thus far as he goes up, trying to take out that Mercy as well. Marble is going to be able to find her, and finally they're going to be able to take the point with more time than Central did when they took it.
Yeah, and we do see that Hannibal also has almost five ults online right now. Echo's at 99. There it is, full charge on that. So with 5 ultimates on their side and almost 5 again on the side of Francis, this is going to be a very close fight here. Depending on who gets first pick and who gets the best Q play will determine who wins, as we see this copy from that Ana come out, and a huge nade to save their side, but unfortunately the timeout of the ultimate will take place, and we do see a Reaper Death Blossom getting a triple kill, followed by another Reaper Death Blossom to get a double kill. That was incredible, and I do believe that that is the point.
Hannibal is going to be able to take the first victory, starting them off to a great start. And as we are watching this Missouri High School Esports Association match on Francis Howell Central versus Hannibal High School, I got to say, the thing that I think is giving Hannibal the lead here, and what allowed them to take that, was their ability to combo those ultimates. It seemed like their communication was a lot better overall in that match.
Yeah, that is something that comes with time and the understanding that switching from that solo gamer mentality to the team mentality, and it's really difficult to get that understanding into the brains of every player, especially at the younger ages, because, you know, we all grew up playing video games in our living rooms by ourselves. So now we're in a team environment, and it's like playing basketball from square one, and if you didn't play basketball, it's a little difficult to pick up on it now. So unfortunately, that's just something that will come with time, and these players will realize how important it is to really be working to benefit each other and bring out the best play style for one another, and that'll help them win in the future.
And how does that communication just generally play in when we have different comps, say as Dive was brought out by Francis Howell Central in that last match? We had a Rein Zarya composition. I assume, you know, for people who are just learning or watching, you know, different comps can really depend on how well you call out your targets, especially in a dive comp.
Oh yeah, for sure. When it comes to dive comps, typically you want to have someone who is a designated shot caller, so to speak, and that is the person who can basically be leading the damage. They're the one that has the most damage. In a lot of cases with Boise State, that is our Farah player. When we run a double dive comp, she'll be calling out the locations of the players that they have gotten a decent rocket hit onto, to then be followed up by the tanks. Because of the amount of vulnerability that opens up the rest of the team to, it really is important that you are communicating when you're moving and when you're able to move, so that you're ready to be able to help the rest of your teammates if they need it.
As we are taking a little bit of a look right here, this was the first push that Francis Howell had, and this was an engagement that really didn't go their way, despite them just kind of trying to throw everything that they had here. You know, they threw the infrared sights, they threw the Transcendence, they also, but Hannibal also had a Coalescence on their side. So it really kind of said something that Francis Howell, the one time they tried to save up their ultimates and use them all in one go, they still weren't able to take the point.
Well, when it comes to comboing ultimates, it does not mean just hit every Q that you have access to at that point in time, because it's not advantageous to. One of the worst things that we can do at our current play level is have both of our support players or both our tank players hit their Qs at the same time, because they're meant to serve different purposes and do different things. And so when you see a support ultimate, a DPS ult, and a tank ult all getting launched at the same time on the point, you're like, okay, well, one ult just counted all of that, and that was a Transcendence. And that is something that, again, comes with experience. It's that tracking the enemy ults. What am I going to do when this character does this ultimate? What's my reaction to that? And that is a reaction that not just the one person who needs to counter the ultimate needs to be ready to do, but the entire team needs to be ready to deal with it. Because if you have two support players like a Moira and a Lucio, and your Lucio says, I'm going to use Sound Barrier, and the Moira says, I'm going to use Coalescence, and they both do it, that's not a good thing.
Well, you are currently watching a Missouri High School Esports Association match of Francis Howell Central versus Hannibal, and now we are going to go into that control match that we are used to seeing start off these kind of matches. Francis Howell is going to find themselves down, with Hannibal having the first victory there, as we move on to Ilios, starting out with Ruins.
Yeah, so Ilios is another one of those sniper haven maps that you can get early picks and staggers onto point to allow for easier point capture. This is a King of the Hill style map, so if you get there first and can establish domicile, so to speak, you will be at a more advantageous position throughout the remainder of the point. And we do see that both teams have pulled out the Widowmaker, so that means both of them are going to have to be extra careful as they're trying to make their way to the point and not lose a player.
Yeah, that is one thing that has been consistent, kind of, is that Widowmaker and Francis Howell taking a lot of damage, just having to duck out and heal. But it has been these Widowmakers that have been able to get some great points, like picks right there onto Yoda on Hannibal, able to put Francis Howell at an advantage. But it is Hannibal that still is taking the point. Cobalt is able to eliminate Ghost Rider, but Sinky continuing on his picks by taking out Forest as well. But it still is kind of the teamwork we're seeing from Hannibal, that despite, you know, kind of Sinky's best tries to get these great picks onto Hannibal, they still are having much more of a presence on the point.
Yeah, the side of Francis, the Widowmaker did some great, fantastic picks right out in the beginning. Taking out a DPS, unfortunately, does not do a whole lot as far as percentage abilities to get the point from there on out. It really doesn't, it's not a make or break moment for a reset. However, when the side of Francis Howell lost their tank, their odds of winning tanked dropped below 80%. They needed to have done a full reset, but a soft re-engage that they're doing right now with their Widow kind of leading the push again, making an identical pick to engage this fight is great, but they are not taking that advantage and moving fast enough to really use the full advantage of being a man up.
Well, Marvel is going to make Hannibal go one up in this engagement thus far, as the Zenyatta takes a lot of damage being eliminated by Asteroid right there from Hannibal. So Hannibal continuing to keep the point and be in a better ultimate position as well. Yoda is going to get the next elimination onto the Tracer, followed by Ghost Rider being taken out by Marvel, who's been doing a great job on that Reaper thus far.
Yeah, and we actually see Francis Howell swapping things up a little bit off the Widowmaker, moving over to the Hanzo, so we could possibly expect a Grab Dragon combo coming out from that side. It would be great to see. However, we do have Forest on the side of Hannibal with that Sound Barrier almost ready to go, so if they can time that right, oh, rest in peace, Yoda. That was a sonic arrow that you just took to the head. If they can time that right, that will be the doom for the side of Hannibal, but we'll have to see how that goes.
And that Pulse Bomb was just thrown out by Francis Howell, not getting any eliminations. Hannibal does have potential combo there with the Shatter and Death Blossom as Francis Howell goes to the point using the Nano Boost. There comes the Shatter out. Yoda is going to get the elimination onto Zephyr, followed by Josh's eliminating Marvel, but Asteroid is going to get the Zenyatta as well. Shatter coming out from Francis Howell as well. Ghost Rider then using that take out the enemy Reinhardt too. Uh-oh, Stinky getting elimination for himself, but it is Yoda with a triple, allowing Hannibal to keep the point.
Yeah, and we are at 99-0 right now. Hannibal did pop a lot of Qs. They had the Reaper Death Blossom being popped dead center, kind of more as a zoning point. It did take care of the Tracer that was on point. Honestly, they hit a lot of Qs during that last second mark, and I was sitting here with bated breath, because that can kind of spell a team's undoing, not being aware that there is an opportunity for a retake coming from Francis Howell, because they were at 0%. But we're going into well this time, and I'm hoping to see some boops coming out from Forest. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. These next two maps are definitely the most exciting to watch in terms of environmental kills. You can see, we actually see both teams kind of having both of the avenues for that, whether it's Forrest using those Lucio boops or a well-placed hook from the Hog on Francis Howell could spell doom for one of the opposing players. In terms of the overall comps that we're seeing kind of a monkey ball combo coming out from Hannibal. And then on Francis Howell, we're actually seeing an Orisa and a Hog being used.
Yeah, so the side of Francis Howell is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with from Hannibal if they don't use their comp properly. These two comps actually counter each other directly, interesting enough. So it's a surround and conquer style from the side of Hannibal in order to take out Francis, whereas Francis basically is going to be needing to bunker down and move into the enemy team and take them out as a group. We do hear the Reds coming out to counter one of those deaths that were early from the Genji, and so we're going to this guy already down. Wow, and there's the first boot kill of the round coming out from Farah, and this first engage is honestly just a bloodbath.
Yeah, Hannibal doing great job. We do see the res coming on to the Ana from Francis Howell. No more ultimates allowed from both teams, as the nade is going to go onto Yoda, eliminating him, but Hannibal answering that back directly with Marble, Sador, and Asteroid getting eliminations all of themselves. But Hannibal does take the point now, starting up that charge. Ghost Rider gaining elimination along with Zephyr, so at least they're kind of getting that they need to reset here, not letting that stagger get too severe.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I do feel like Francis Howell needs to change their comp up a little bit. This is a comp that's meant to stay together, and that is a comp that can easily be picked apart by a Wrecking Ball as well as a Farah. The whole point of the comp from Hannibal is to disrupt and separate, and they're doing a great job of that, and the comp that Francis needs is trying to push through that. It's a comp that requires them to stay together, so they need to change up their playstyle if they're going to take this point, I think.
You saw right there just kind of trying to get into the back line with that bomb, trying to get a quick pick. Didn't quite work out for them, but Marble's going to be able to get the first elimination, taking out the Reinhardt and kind of eliminating Francis Howell's front line now as the Farah kind of peeks around, trying to get some good shots in on that Mercy as they now rotate. The Tracer is going to meet them inside that building with the Wrecking Ball, charging right up into Francis Howell. Sleep Dart does hit there. Uh-oh, Stinky and Josses are answering that back with the Valkyrie used also by the Mercy, allowing them to get that healing that they need, push through to the point, and what was looking to be a good engagement from Hannibal as the minefield is dropped down is turning around to Francis Howell, especially with that Death Blossom and Whole Hog being used.
Yeah, Francis Howell's hitting a lot of Qs right now, but we do see on the side of Hannibal that there are 4 ultimates ready to go, and that can be an easy retake from their side, especially as we've already established they kind of have the leading comp here. We do see Zephyr switching over in favor of the Echo, which is great, because for Hannibal, the Reinhardt is not going to do much against them because their comp doesn't need to worry about a shield. It's like there's a shield there, okay, let's walk past it and go around it. And Hannibal is relying way too heavily on that shield, anticipating that the side of Hannibal is using things like a Widowmaker when they're not. They have those angles and they're taking advantage of it, so it's going to be really difficult for Howell to deal with.
Well, we do see Stinky back on the Widowmaker, doing what he does best, taking out 2 from the side of Hannibal, and now Ghost Rider is going to get the next elimination onto Setter XD. So now Hannibal is finding himself at the disadvantage, might have to try to go for the reset there, but Yoda is answering that back with a double of his own, now into a triple, and that might be a carry that they needed to be able to take this point, as Francis Howell is now desperately trying to hang on. I gotta say, I gotta give the MVP of that to Yoda.
I'm gonna give the MVP of both these teams over to their Widowmakers. This is a trend we haven't seen in a very long time, and it's heavily reliant on your DPS players to be kind of like the make or break forces for your teams, and you're basically, as a support and a tank, just supporting your DPS. That is something that when you are beginning in Overwatch is very common to have to deal with, and honestly, it breaks down a lot to the communication that you can have with those DPS players. So if they are the shot callers for both of these teams and they are working together to support their DPS, this is just going to get more and more fun to watch.
And we did just see there the infrared sights being used pretty darn late in the engagement. We saw that from the Whole Hog also, Francis Howell. That just might be that just might be kind of their fatal flaw in just kind of using these ultimates kind of when they get them, as Zephyr is able to get some eliminations. The Mercy eliminated from Francis Howell. Marble is rezzed by Hannibal's Mercy as well. Yoda doing great job, and you see the barrage coming out there from Hannibal as well as the Primal Rage that could just push them over the edge, allowing them to take the point. they kind of need right now because they're at 99% charge. Minefield also being used here. And I don't really know, Nerdy, because I'm seeing a lot of ultimates kind of being used after the engagement appears to have been won. You know, they're just kind of, we're seeing a lot more of win more ultimates, and win more is exactly what Hannibal did as they are going to take this best of 3 instead of a best of 5. So best of 3 as we have been seeing for the semester. But back to what I was saying, you know, we are seeing kind of a lot more of kind of win more, you know, being used with the ultimates.
Yeah, and again, that's a mentality that you see when you kind of first start out in this realm of competitive gaming. It is, I need to win, and this is, and you know, when you first start, you hit Q to win. That is how you win fights. There isn't so much the, you know, breakdown of a fight. What is our win condition?
And also in terms of competitiveness, whether it be at the lower levels or all the way up to higher levels of competition, like we see here with the Mountain West Rocky Mountain Warfare Redux, which is going to be on the 6th and 7th of November 2020, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard. You are definitely going to tune in for that, as that is one of our favorite collabs that we do with them, and now with multiple events under both of our belts. You are definitely going to want to tune in for that, for great prizes available to the competitors, and of course the chance to showcase Call of Duty, one of the games that we don't normally show, but with them it's always great to see kind of that new talent be brought out.
Oh yeah, of course, and I mean, I love Call of Duty, so of course I'll be watching it.
So we are going to be taking a quick break, but be back with more action, and of course, since this is a special high school broadcast, 2 entirely new teams with new talent to look at, so stay tuned.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to tonight's esports broadcast brought to you by Boise State Esports. We are coming to you from the Game Pants Esports Arena in downtown Boise, Idaho, bringing you some matches from way across the country coming from Missouri high schools for the Missouri High School Esports Association. As we move on to the next match of tonight, it is going to be Lathrop versus CBC, the Mules versus the Cadets in this Overwatch highlight tonight. Joining me is Madison Nerdy Bird Binge to talk about all of the action tonight, and what we saw from last night really kind of highlights the different atmosphere, because we are seeing players ranked from bronze to masters being showcased tonight. So a lot of different levels of skill to expect, and some different gameplay than what we're used to seeing on the collegiate level.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, it's very eye-opening for us to be able to sit here and cast this, because this is the level of gameplay that we can expect kind of, coming up, what we're going to be mentoring. And these are the students that, we're scouting right now. We're expecting that, we might be able to, get in the ear of one of these kids and be like, hey, have you looked at going to Boise State University to play some Overwatch? Because you got skill and we would like to have you here with us. And that is what this is all about. But, we are seeing such a drastic difference because of like the level of dedication that these students get to have to this sort of activity. And, when you reach the level that we get to be at, it is, it becomes a huge part of your life. Whereas right now it's probably more of a hobby to them. So I'm excited to see just how much we'll see a difference from like now watching these high school games to next year when we're casting these high school games. Just, I feel like it's going to be even better.
Well, it's not just a difference in just the skill level, but we're also seeing a difference just in the overall structure and what kind of maps we play on. Because we started out in the last match something that would be completely unorthodox for us here. Not only not starting on a control map, but starting on Temple of Anubis of all things. So we are going to see, it is a little bit, I suppose, more refreshing in that regard, instead of, starting off on Busan, almost certainly into Kings Row after that, to see kind of some different maps that we don't normally see.
Yeah, to be blunt, they're actually helping like keep this a little bit more fresh and fun for us to cast right now, because we are so used to, opening up, okay, it's Busan first and then Lijiang Tower next, and there is a set map rules that we follow, and it is so regulated that, and I mean, like, that's fine, but when we give this opportunity for these high schools to do this, they open up these doors to show us everything that they have and what they're capable of doing on every map, and I love it.
Well, whether it is high school or collegiate level, we are bringing you all sorts of esports action here on the Boise State Esports page, and you can help support that page by subscribing with a Twitch Prime subscription, linking your Amazon Prime subscription to get a free Twitch Prime subscription. In doing that, you get access to the entire backlog of Boise State broadcasts. You also get very nice exclusive emotes that you can use to support your blue and orange. And of course, ad-free watching on Twitch, free channel subscription every 30 days when you do use that Amazon Prime subscription. So you are definitely going to want to check out. You can type an !free sub in the chat for more information should you choose. And of course, you can also go to twitch.amazon.com/prime to link your Twitch account, as you see right there, to support everything that goes on here at Boise State. Your subscriptions do fund scholarships. Now moving on to the match at hand, the Missouri High School Esports Association map, a match of the Mules versus the Cadets, Lathrop versus CBC High School in this Overwatch match tonight. It'll be interesting to see which team kind of shows those overall patterns that we're more used to seeing on the collegiate level. And of course, talking about unorthodox maps to start on, we are starting out on Hollywood.
Okay, so for anyone that is just tuning in and is not familiar with Overwatch, there are different types of maps that we typically play with. There is an order that the college level competitive games typically stick with. However, this evening we are getting to start out on a hybrid map instead of the standard control maps that we see coming out for the Broncos. And tonight, while we watch, did you say it was the Mules and the Cadets?
Yes, the Mules from Lathrop. You can see their little logo up there. The Mules versus the Cadets. So Lathrop, if we're seeing it correctly, is going to be on the blue side, with CBC being used on the orange. In terms of overall comps, we are seeing the Ryan Zarya being used by Lathrop. CBC is going to be bringing out the Hog and the Ball as well.
Yeah, so CBC is going to be heavily reliant on their own skills, so to speak, and a very good communication to stay alive right now because their comp is not meant to remain bunched up, whereas the side of the Mules can be bunched up a little bit more, and their Reaper and Doomfist will have a bit more survivability, as we do see Logan is able to jump in and get the Reaper on the side of CBC first, and unfortunately also pick up, I think that's Bun Bun, as well as the Soldier.
Yeah, unfortunately for Bun Bun, it is Haas and Pfeffer on the menu tonight because this Doomfist had just went completely ham on CBC, getting a double right off the bat. That's going to have to be a full reset for CBC.
Yeah, and CBC, unfortunately, does not have, other than their Roadhog hook, a real ability to shut down a Doomfist quickly unless they're able to prime a target with a sleep and actually turn and look at him as a full team and take him out before the sleep dart runs out. Because as we all know, Doomfist, once he punches you, he gets extra armor, so he's really annoying to deal with.
And you see just kind of, it doesn't necessarily, it looks like CBC is trying to decide which route they want to take. They looked like they were trying to go for the center there, then they were just going to go over to the right through that narrow room there. It doesn't look like they're really able to make up their minds and try to push through this choke. The only one who's been doing that is the Hammonding. You saw how that turned out, and the Meteor Strike isn't going to make things any easier for CBC's backline. It just doesn't seem like they're really committing to a strategy here.
They are not, and they do have that Lucio. Both teams actually do, and time and time again, we've heard me say how important he is to allow for these key rotations to take place. They need to get their speed up and push to that choke point and pick a target. After all, the longer time that you spend on this choke point, the more opportunity you give the enemy team to just continue to push you back.
Well, we do see the Visor and the Whole Hog being used by CBC, and that Visor getting a nice double onto Lathrop. That Whole Hog also picked up a few eliminations themselves, and we are seeing kind of a carry here by the DPS for CBC, allowing them to take that first point. And that is kind of a pattern that we saw with the last match too, as you were saying earlier, Nerdy, is kind of these DPS ultimates being a little bit more carry focused than the standard combos that we see on the collegiate level.
Yeah, as you slowly trickle up in levels of gameplay, you do see the importance of ultimate usage and time placement being more quintessential, whereas in these cases we can get away with more of that. I'm going to hit Q and kill a couple people and that'll be good enough. So as these players get more experience, they're going to get a little bit sneakier with these ultimates, so only time will tell what they'll end up doing.
I do have to say it does kind of bring out a different mentality though, in just seeing this difference, kind of, I would say maybe a little bit more casual style of play, as the Doomfist is going to really take out the Soldier there, followed by Freetops taking out Coltisven. You know, with these new teams, we don't necessarily get a whole lot of practice. That's a nice hook. Unfortunately, it's onto the Reinhardt, which he is not going to be able to take out in one hit. The Reinhardt finally goes down with some help from that Lucio, as CBC has their payload stuck in the choke point right now.
I'm not going to lie, I had fully anticipated the Lucio on the side of the Mules to use Sound Barrier during that grab concert, but he did not, and that has drug out the Spite a little bit more, as we do see the Reaper Death Blossom coming out, picking up 2, and then follow it up with taking out the Doomfist. However, that Roadhog, oh my goodness, he's just making pulled pork out of the enemy team right now.
Yeah, he is doing very well, and the Lucio is going to go right onto him. He kind of hopped onto the point here, and the Lucio kind of took him by surprise going out. There comes the other Earth Shatter. This is going to get the Lucio on CBC's side, but he was well protected there, so that's not going to do too much now. CBC still has a lot of ultimates now for them to use offensively. That's another great hook onto that Lucio. We are just seeing these hooks being used so well by Bun Bun. So great gameplay there as the payload goes further up the map.
Unfortunately for the side of the Mules, I am noticing that their supports and DPS are pushing a little bit too far forward of their Reinhardt, as Reinhardt is trying his darndest to keep them out of the line of fire of the enemy team. They really need to be communicating with each other and making sure they're moving as a unit with the way their comp is set up. It is kind of a brawly, pick a target, everyone beat them up style comp, and that relies on a lot of communication that I just do not see happening right now.
And we did see the Meteor Strike being used here. CBC drops the beat, as well as the Visor being used from CBC as well, but not getting as much mileage out of that as they did last time. Luckily for the Cadets, Bun Bun and Wireless doing great work, able to get 2 eliminations. LHS continues the elimination streak, taking out the Zarya, and Nate is going to be eliminated by Bun Bun as well, so that's a nice little bit of stagger there. So they are going to take the checkpoint.
So a couple of things I want to point out here on the side of CBC is that they are not playing what I would consider a standard comp by any means right now with the current meta. However, they are playing into each other's strengths beautifully right now. They do not have someone who is playing a shield tank, so they realize they don't need to be together. Their DPS are more than okay functioning by themselves. They have a level of self-sustain that allows for that, as do their tanks. Their Ana, for some reason, is just having a ball. I honestly have not, like, as a support player, playing Ana is very scary. She's a very slow support. She does not have a lot of defense for herself, but she's not being focused, so she's having a blast right now, and the rest of the team is able to just continue to play the best on what I'm assuming is their best heroes.
I just got to say, I had to point out the serendipity and great timing there. As you said, the Ana was having the ball. The camera immediately switched over to the wrecking ball, so that was some great timing there by whoever was operating the cameras. As the minefield comes out from CBC, it's going to kind of zone some space right in front of the payload. Now, Lathrop did have that Reaper kind of peeking in the back up above, trying to kind of get some sort of flank. You see him up on the second level there, so he is very close to his Death Blossom. Going to try something sneaky there. Still no ultimates used thus far in this engagement. Lathrop has 3 available to them, as well as CBC, with that Visor coming online right now, as Logan is going to get the first elimination, eliminating the Doomfist. I have to say, I am keeping an eye on Nade, because just the way he's been positioning himself, he's definitely is trying to get one of those cheeky Death Blossoms dropping right into the back line.
Oh, for sure, and I'm really hoping the side of CBC is keeping an eye on that. We have seen the Roadhog and the Ana both peeking up on that higher platform, keeping an eye out for him. That is very good and makes my heart happy to see. But we
here we go.
Okay, oh, that poor Ana. Moment of silence.
Here it goes. Yep.
Oh, that was both dirty and beautiful, and I feel for you, Ana. That was a great Death Blossom sneaky kill from that Reaper. Okay, quadruple kill. That was great. That was beautiful. But we are actually now at the 1 minute mark, and that means we've got 1, maybe 2 engages for the side of CBC. On this next engage, I'm going to vote that they don't use any of their ultimates, do it fast, and get the mules to use everything that they have. That is my suggestion.
Yeah, especially as we see on kind of this high school level, we're seeing kind of the pattern from Nakens. He's still going to try to get these flanks. He's just going to drop right back behind them. They're a little bit better prepared for that as the whole hog comes out from Bun Bun. Instead of saving it, they're just going to use everything here, dropping the minefield as well. They definitely want to try to hit this point. It's Meteor Strike. It's going to come in, take out one with Goose. I'm surprised that she just stayed on the point like that as the hook comes through from the Roadhog as well. We see the Coalescence being used, as well as the Gravitic Flux, just trying to buy any sort of time from Lathrop. That Coalescence is going to burn out all the ultimates, though, from the side of Lathrop. Now it's Wireless getting the boop onto Coolboy. Nade answering that back by taking out Wireless, but the overall advantage is looking like it might come out for the Cadets here. They just have to keep pushing them on there as Logan gets eliminated as well. Lathrop does have the advantage of respawning so close to the point, though, so if they can get those respawns, that is ultimately going to work out in their favor, as we see the Wrecking Ball is trying to get right up in the face of that Ana as well, but still not getting the damage that he is looking for. Now the Soldier is able to finally get rid of the Wrecking Ball for the Cadets. The Cadets answer that back by taking out the Moira. Now the Doomfist as well. The ultimates have charged back up again as the beat, and the whole hog is used as well. They just need to take out the one remaining member of the Mules, and they finally managed to take the point.
All right, all I gotta say is for CBC, the tanks were the MVPs of that last fight. Unfortunately, this is something we're all guilty of, but the biggest thing is what gets shot first. And the side of the Mules, they were definitely focusing that Wrecking Ball and Roadhog a lot, putting a lot of the resources into the tanks on the side of CBC. They did switch over to the supports and try to take them out, but it was too little too late, as the tanks at that point had their ultimates and just kind of pushed the rest of the side of the Mules away from the payload. So, you know, it's that comes with experience, is understanding target focus, even during those moments of, oh my god, we're in overtime like they just were. That was a fantastic point hold, way to get them all the way down to 0, but you need to understand your win condition even when there's no time on the clock.
You know, one thing I kind of wanted to bring up previously that's kind of interesting about seeing this different level of play is it just kind of brings up.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, but do you see what CBC just pulled out?
I'm seeing a little bit of Orisa cheese, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is a strategy that I myself can say we've used. Granted, it was more of a Mercy Baptiste style, not a Zenyatta. But we're seeing Bastion cheese.
Yep.
Oh no.
The bane of Bronze League, they are going to be using Bastion. was definitely a cheesy strat here. Just going to aim right through that choke point, and you know, it has a reputation, but I gotta say, I too have fallen victim to the allure of left click to win.
I'm not going to lie though, the DPS on both these teams have shown their prowess. They are quite gifted, and if this Bastion knows his rotations well enough, he could easily make this a full hold on point 1.
Well, he's definitely pushing a lot of damage on Setup, gets right in the point of his view. Now they're going to take the side route here. He's going to push a lot of damage onto the backline. Bun Bun getting the first elimination there. Drops down and is able to just mow down that Moira, and all the other members fall as well. He took out the Reinhardt. And then finally the Echo doing some great job herself, getting free tops, and is now just going to get on top of this car and get even more in their faces with this Bastion.
I mean, it's okay to, you know, flex a little bit, but it's also important to remember that they are still players that deserve the spot on their teams that they have, so do treat them with respect. A good Bastion player here. I do not want to see you regret your choices.
Oh, now he gets in the position to push a whole lot more damage as he just goes right into that Zimmer. He does get hooked by the Hog, but is able to go back and heal himself up. Now Lathrop is finding themselves getting a lot of damage onto their backlines. Both their supports are now down, so now this Bastion just finds himself on the point alone. The Doomfist does get taken out as the Junkrat goes right onto him, does get the elimination, and Death by Glory taking out the Bastion as well. Now Cool Boy and Free Tops are finally going to push through with eliminations of their own, take the point, but that was certainly some great Bastion cheese to watch while it lasted.
I just wish that, you know, they had that extra little upper echelon level of communication there, because if you rotate properly with that Bastion and maybe have started above on Cafe as opposed to starting up over on the right-hand side, they would have been in a little bit better of a sustained position, because Bastion plays can be really difficult to break down if you don't have the right comp.
Now, speaking of Bastion plays, we do see the Junkrat very low on health, has to go back. And this Bastion is just going to go right.
Oh, no.
I mean, you think, oh man, and the whole Hog and the Transcendence is going to come out right above. They are just pressing all the Qs that they can to try to hold the point. But CBC just kind of ducks back. They do lose the Reinhardt, but now Nade continues. Once all of those ultimates have been used, they now take out the Echo. Now with the whole Hog being used by CBC as well as the Beat, they are just kind of using what they have as it comes up. Lathrop does still have a lot of ultimates, but they use so many ultimates to try to push through that choke.
Yeah, they really did, but as it stands right now, they are making better time on this attack than the last round. So now this is going to come down to how much stall is the enemy team going to be able to push out, as we are seeing both DPS and tanks are just creating so much space right now that the other team is not able to fully regroup.
And one interesting thing I saw in the previous engagement is that we saw the Bastion, he stayed on the Bastion even though kind of the time for the cheese comp had really kind of passed. He wanted to use his ultimate, so he just kind of went into the front line, pressed Q, hoping for the best. And that really is kind of a different mentality than what we're used to seeing. You know, I remember, you know, Doc bringing up a piece of advice that really, no ultimate is really worth keeping if you're running the wrong comp.
Yes, exactly, and in that case, I was kind of hoping to see everyone on the enemy team with the Bastion hit the Q and kind of run at the payload, so to speak, because I was expecting a full comp transition. They did have enough ultimates that they could have done that. However, they decided to stagger themselves and keep with the comp that they did have, so it was a little bit weird and a little bit a bit of a disadvantage for them. But we do see right now that a jump tire is about to come out, and I saw what might be a juicy double. I heard a triple, but that was assisted by Reinhardt. I'll still give that credit right there. That was a great junk tire.
Well, for the Cadets, it does manage to push them past this first engagement. Now going to turn the corner, go through the S-Bends to get to that final point. Now, the one advantage that Lathrop does have is they have the ultimate advantage, but they're also going to be getting into the respawn advantage here, since it is the final point is so close to the respawn. That just means that a couple picks onto the Cadets right here, they can't allow Lathrop to kind of eventually start taking back.
Lathrop needs to be actually very careful, as there's almost 4 minutes still remaining for the side of CBC, and so they need to stagger these ultimates, and they're guilty of hitting all of them at once, as we hear 2 ults coming out from Lathrop. I'm expecting to hear there's the Valkyrie coming out as well. This is going to drastically affect their ability to sustain during this next fight. Granted, this does look like they're going to hopefully be able to hold off the enemy team, as we hear that attack visor come out, being followed up with a sound barrier. Wrecking Ball has made it onto point, so there's sustain happening. They're getting a foothold, but but now they have no ultimates coming up except for that Nano.
And now they're just staggering onto the point 1 and 1, which they got to do that because this desperation track is just trying to bring that clock down for overtime as the Wrecking Ball takes on so much damage. Coalescence being used by the Cadets, and now Nate and Zenlord are able to get 2 more eliminations. It's a question of, does Lathrop have the time to get 1 more onto the point? They do not, and the Cadets take the final point much faster than the Mules did. That's going to be a huge advantage for them in overtime.
Yeah, I will not lie. CBC did a great job creating space, maintaining the pressure and aggression that they had going from the moment they took the payload. And they also were not hitting every Q that they had every opportunity. There was a lot of rotation of ultimates. I'm not sure if that was more just the grace of the fates in their favor, so to speak, and, you know, as fate would have it, the percentages just weren't lining up, so everyone had their Qs at the same time. Only maybe 2 did at the same time. But I'm going to say that that was, you know, a 5-head big brain gamer play right there, and they intentionally staggered ults.
Well, we aren't going to see any Bastion Cheese being used right now. Instead, we are seeing Zara and Wrecking Ball being used by Lathrop. On the side of CBC, they are going with a Rhine Hog composition instead.
Yeah, and we actually are going to be seeing a Torbjorn on, I believe, yeah, so Torb will be defending for Hollywood, which is a strategy that I have not personally seen in comp in a very long time. Back in, I want to say about Season 5, before Goats got huge, it was very common to have a Torb turret sitting in the back right corner on this point all the time, but as D.Va got more powerful, that kind of went away for a while, so I'm going to be interested to see how this Torbjorn's going to play.
Well, as it counts down, CBC has such a great time advantage, and because they have the time advantage, all they need to do is get 1 tick, and they can pat themselves on the back with the first victory here. You see the Torb turret being set up there. The Doomfist just goes charging right in, is maybe going to try to go around, try to get some sort of flank on them, but no eliminations quite yet as the Cadets now push through this first choke. The Ryan holding up his shields. No huge damage coming through as the hook is going to go right onto the Moira. That was an amazing hook, and Goose is going to follow that right up by taking out the Reinhardt, and that just might be what they needed. The Doomfist is going to get mowed right down by the turret, which is doing great damage on to the Cadets' side. My goodness, that hook was filthy.
That was dirty. That totally saved that entire fight. I'm not going to lie right now, though. The Mules need to be taking the high ground. They are basically just sitting ducks on the point. They are letting the fight actually take place at the location where the enemy team needs it to happen. So that is not good. You need to be putting up a blockade in some way, shape, or form and becoming a force to reckon with, and they are sitting ducks. So it is time to get aggressive, put the pedal to the metal, and hopefully their Roadhog just keeps being what he's doing because he's a straight animal.
Well, Colt does get the first elimination onto Freetop, so that is Fairtop, so that is going to put the Cadets at a disadvantage. They quickly rotate off to the side to get this Doomfist, which they do, and this Torbjorn is doing a great job holding this point.
Yeah, that Torbjorn and Bun Bun's hooks are doing a fantastic job of abusing people who do not pay attention to their natural cover or ability cooldowns, and those are some heroes that abuse that so much, and honestly, as much as I say it, they're bully heroes, and I love them for that reason.
Well, speaking of bullying, CBC finally gets some hook action on their side, being able to eliminate the Soldier and his ultimate as well, and this is going to be the point to try to push forward. The Coalescence is being used by CBC. Meteor Strike is available to them, and a whole lot of Qs pressed on the side of Lathrop with the Nano boost and the beat, as well as the whole Hawk, which is going to come out now with the Molten Core 2, picking up 2 for Lathrop. They have thrown everything that they can onto CBC, and now another hook is going to come through, trying to get that Reaper as the Death Monster comes up for CBC, able to get rid of Goose, but the Tactical Visor answers that back by getting 2 of its own. They're just throwing everything that they can to try to get it, and CBC might finally have pushed to the point to get that 1 tick.
Gosh dang it, that was such a great hold coming out from the side of the Mules. Honestly, I was expecting to see a Nano Visor there in the last few seconds. I was holding my breath for it, but either way, that was a fantastic hold. They had to hold that point for over 3 minutes, and they almost did it.
They almost did it, but it was just so many Qs pressed in that last engagement, ultimately tipped it over toward the Cadets.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cues aren't always in your favor.
Yep, the cues aren't always in your favor, as you can see just kind of the replay right behind you on the screen there. And that was the moment of silence you had to have for the Ana.
I did, because, you know, when you've been perpetually checking that high ground, and we did see not only just Ana, but the Roadhog as well, looking up there at the rafters, trying to make sure that that was not going to happen to them. They were prepared, they were ready for it, and the one time they forgot was the one
it's
time
the
it
one
happened.
time.
And that is when you just kind of push yourself away from the keyboard and cry.
just go have a cool drink, you know, just try to calm down there. But this was and here we go. This was the cheese comp we had with the Bastion.
Yeah, so this actually is a very, very risky positioning here for a Bastion player, in my opinion, especially when it's very common for teams to scout with a Sombra. All this enemy team had to do on the side of CBC was scout that, swap over to maybe a Genji or a D.Va, do a double dive onto that Bastion, could have instantaneously taken him out on the first engage, no problems. But that is, again, something that just kind of comes with the experience of playing this game for so long. You learn the little ins and outs of things that can save you a fight here and there, because at the end of the day, one fight can result in winning the game.
And the interesting thing about that Bastion is we were going to see him right here. This is where you were talking about just kind of needing to respect your opponents a little, because he pushed way up past the choke, just kind of got in their faces a little bit too much there. Very risky.
Yeah, and we do see Nade over here, though, with his Junkrat play. It's been crazy since the opening of this entire series between these two teams. The junk tires across the board have been insane. I think everyone stopped looking up to Jonak at some point and started looking up to Jay Silly, because the junk tires from Nade were incredible tonight. I mean, there were, I think we only saw one time where it was used and got a single kill, but it was still followed up by 2 kills that resulted from damage of the tire.
And now we see right here, this was the rip tire that went through. You saw the sleep dart getting hit right onto the Reinhardt. Not enough to take him out, but did manage to take the Ana out right now. I do gotta say, I have to say, I am a little bit envious of that new video wall that you have up right now, because that is so cool. I mean, I guess I do have the desk here, but my goodness, that is a treat now that you have there, being able to reference that huge screen. So we are looking at the Missouri High School Esports Association Overwatch match, the Cadets versus the Mules right now. The Cadets find themselves up 1 right now, and we can see right here, it looks like we've got some top plays coming through right behind you as well.
Yes, these are our top 5 plays this evening. I'm anticipating to see like a little bit of everything.
Oh, plays so good that they pass through in split seconds, but definitely some great plays thus far ready. And, well, if we're going to see some top plays, we are just probably going to get right into the next match, which, as we've been seeing tonight, could really be anything, really, because the map structure is so different than what we're normally seeing, starting out on Hollywood. So I would be willing to wager we are instead, okay, my prediction is just going to go right out the window. We're just going straight to Havana.
I actually was going to guess maybe we'll get a full escort map this time, because we're just rotating through the different types.
Well, right now, Lathrop is going to be the ones trying to push the point so far. Looking at the comps that they have, we do still see the Torbjorn being used, as well as the Wrecking Ball and Zura. On the side of CBC, it does look like we have an Orisa Sig composition, so a bit of double shield. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, Orisa Sig was more the meta last fall in the beginning of the school year for sure, and we do see that the Wrecking Ball on the side of Lathrop was trying to get through that defense, but Nate is going to take him out, and then Lucio is also going to go down on the side of Lathrop. And we are seeing, once again, that Torbjorn pick with the payload. Kind of a standard thing to see, but when you're playing against a Junkrat, it's kind of not going to work out in your favor.
Well, Lathrop does make a swap onto the D.Va instead now, so
Yay!
Yeah, always nice to see some D.Va play, especially when you're casting Nerdy, since I understand that you have some experience on D.Va.
No, just some experience. Oh boy. Well, honestly, right now, D.Va is one of the more powerful off-tanks, but we are seeing that Bun Bun is still remaining on the Zarya, and in 2.5 fights has full ult charge and insanely high-powered right now. So I don't think that we're going to see a Zarya swap off, but we're playing with 2 off-tanks for the side of Lathrop right now, and it's working, and I'm very shocked.
Yeah, they are going to get to this first checkpoint, it looks like, ready to go into the factory, and we see the Orisa peek out from the side there. Doesn't necessarily pay the price for it, as the Zarya goes around the side with the Gravitron Surge, not necessarily hitting That's definitely a big oof for them right there.
Well, it is also okay because it prevents the ability for the enemy team to go out the other door, so you know you can funnel all the damage through the other one because you don't want to walk into the grab while it's activated at least, but it was just some unfortunate placement right there. As we do hear a Death Blossom go off, but the Torbjorn is going to be the one to spell Nade's doom right there.
Yeah, just enough for the Cadets to hold them before this first checkpoint. Bun Bun answers that back by taking out the Moira as Ferrotops gets one of himself, getting the Diva. So now both sides getting a little bit of a pick there at the end. See Wireless going right back to do a bit of healing on Zarya, who is very low and is still facing pressure and is going to find it from the Doomfist, who takes out both the Zarya and the Lucio as well.
Yeah, that Doomfist, I did not see him coming. He kind of just flew in and then I saw two bodies. I also would like to point out that Bun Bun is already 80% to their ultimate and there hasn't even been a full engage from the side of Lythrop.
This is going to be insane now.
And Lucio... Yeah, we've got Lucio also on the side of CBC with a sound barrier, so this is going to come down to, are they predicting each other's ultimates and are they going to be able to counter one another? And there's just more ults being thrown, but we're getting insane, incredible staggers coming out for Lythrop right now onto the side of CBC with just using the bongos. And now, you know, they've got almost all of their ults ready to go.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was expecting just the Qs to be pressed across the board, but Lathrop doing a great job of saving what they have here. Now they are gonna have 5 ultimates to use to try to push through to this checkpoint with only 40 seconds left. It is gonna come down to this engagement now. There goes Raptor with the jump tire combo, and Molten Core is gonna pick up anybody, and Anti as well. Bun Bun is gonna get the only elimination thus far, as that Lucio beat came in such clutch for CBC, but is it going to be enough? As Star Warrior and now Nade are taken out, Bun Bun getting that final elimination, as well as the Junkrat doing great work as well. And this Moira is finding himself in a tricky position, gonna finally be mowed down by that Junkrat. Here comes the Wrecking Ball, just trying to do some stall tactics with the Lucio following him up. Bun Bun is gonna get the elimination onto the Doomfist. The Zen Lord is just swinging around the payload, trying to run down that clock. Is he gonna get enough? He has the nade on him. He is low on health, but still manages to pick up the point and survive. And he stalled it out long enough. There goes the self-destruct out. Isn't gonna pick up anybody. And now Nade is gonna answer that back. The Cadets doing an amazing hold here. Here comes the Death Blossom from Nade, is gonna be able to pick up one. And that Wrecking Ball with that stall tactic survived long enough to allow the Cadets to come back full strength at the point.
I'm not gonna lie, if you have a Wrecking Ball that knows how to spin it to win it, along with a Lucio who can Reddit hop his way along the walls as much as these two just did, it opens up an opportunity for some insane turnaround fights just like that, and that was beautiful.
And Lathrop, they threw absolutely everything they had there to get that first victory, so they had absolutely nothing left to try to mow down that Wrecking Ball. And so with him and the Lucio just doing such amazing work for the Cadets, that's insane stall tactics.
Unfortunately, that was a situation where, when you're in that last fight territory, or this is make or break moment, or we're going to lose the round, or the round ends here if we don't get any further, and you anticipate your team's going to be hitting all those Qs, you need to remember that after you've killed, when you have a moment, it takes half a second hit tab. Just see if there was any stall swaps being made. If you noticed that stall swap, you would have either held on to an E ability, a shift, or a Q ability to counter it, and would have been ready to sustain on that payload a little bit longer. But that just comes with experience.
You also see a little bit of scouting being used with the Sombra from Lathrop.
Well, we'll see how much scouting gets done.
I mean, those EMPs, we have seen a lot of, on the collegiate level in Boise State's matches, we have seen some insane EMPs come out from her.
Yes, we definitely have, and because they are on the defensive, it will be a little bit more advantageous to hang on to that Sombra and play not so much in the back line of CBC right now, but with your team, so to speak, because if the Doomfist from CBC comes in and takes out your Ana, your odds of sustaining during that round will drop below 86%. So that Sombra needs to be protecting their Ana right now.
We also see the hook still being used from the Hog by Star Warrior. We have seen some absolutely filthy hooks from both teams, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. You see the hack going on to the Doomfist. He's going to take a lot of damage, dive back into the backline, going to live to fight another day, but here it goes, a lot of damage onto Nade there. Bun Bun is ultimately going to finish that out, allowing the Cadets to unfortunately be down one, but Loken picks up the slack by taking out the Junkrat, which is a good pick because Junkrat has been so good in these engagements thus far.
Yeah, and we do see the Sombra is at about 50% charge right now. However, we are seeing them kind of holding that shift hack button consistently rather than pumping out damage. And basically for about every second of damage you produce on Sombra, you will get a percentage, you'll get 1% of ult charge. So you need to be taking these opportunities between the true designated fights to be doing that poke damage.
But in terms of overall damage, it's just one elimination after the other, which is allowing the Cadets to push forward through to this point. We do see kind of the spin to win coming out from the Wrecking Ball. Here comes a Meteor Strike from the Doomfist. It's going to go right down, doesn't necessarily pick anyone out. And these Wrecking Balls with their stall tactics, I have just got to say, now Bun Bun follows that up with the Whole Hog. Is going to come right out from the side, and they are going to actually get the point. The Lucio still is on the point, trying to draw it out. There goes the Death Blossom. Is going to be able to pick up Metabyte for the Cadets, who now finds themselves at disadvantage. They've got to do something about this Wrecking Ball, though. This is insane.
I know, and that comes down, like, that honestly is going to be falling mainly on Bun Bun right now to be dealing with the Wrecking Ball. He's landed insane hooks, but he's just going to have to continue to land them. Same with CBC's Roadhog. When it comes to the, when you need that CC and you have no one, it falls on Roadhog, and that's a lot of pressure.
Well, look at that EMP going on to 3 members of the Cadet, followed up by the Riptire. Is going to be a great play for Lathrop, going to allow them to keep this payload from going through to the next point. We do see Moira still up there from CBC, and now the Lucio just needed to get onto that point. I was going to say, if there was a C9 to follow this up, I would have just walked away, because that would have been an insane way to end what has already been an insane, and there goes Death Blossom. He's going to get hooked while he's doing it, though, and the whole Hawk, it is going to go on to the point. The Cadets getting the ultimate victory, winning this match.
Dang, that was close.
Well, the Cadets are definitely diabolical with that win there. It is such a different. It's just like you have to learn the play-by-play casting all over again, because everything you're expecting to happen isn't happening, because we're seeing such different levels of play from collegiate to high school.
I'm not gonna lie, I love it. It's like
it's new. It's great to see.
It's keeping us both on our toes, kind of, because we're like, oh, we're gonna see this happen,
Yeah.
and then we're just like, no, we were completely gosh darn wrong just now. Great.
We have still got more bringing you. I don't know what's coming up. I'm throwing all predictions out the window for this next match, but I know it's going to be entertaining. But talking about entertainment, before we get to this next match, we're going to take a short break and leave you with the top 5 plays of the game. Themselves on the back with the first victory here. You see the Torp turret being set up there. The Doomfist just goes charging right in, is maybe going to try to go around, try to get some sort of flank on them, but no eliminations quite yet, as the Cadets now push through this first choke. The Ryan holding up his shields. No huge damage coming through, as the hook is going to go right onto the Moira. That was an amazing...
Make this a full hold on point 1.
Well, he is definitely pushing a lot of damage onto Seahawk, gets right in the point of his view. Now they're going to take the side route here. He's going to push a lot of damage onto the backline. Bun Bun getting the first elimination there. Drops down and is able to just mow down that Moira, and all the other members fall as well. He took out...
With the bash and hit the Q and kind of run at the payload, so to speak, because I was expecting a full comp transition. They did have enough ultimates that they could have done that. However, they decided to stagger themselves and keep with the comp that they did have, so it was a little bit weird and a little bit a bit of a disadvantage for them. But we do see right now that a jump tire is about to come out, and I saw what might be a juicy double. I heard a trip.
As we see the Wrecking Ball is trying to get right up in the face of that Ana as well, but still not getting the damage that he is looking for. Now the Soldier is able to finally get rid of the Wrecking Ball for the Cadets. The Cadets answer that back by taking out the Moira. Now the Doomfist as well. The ultimate to charge back up again as the beat, and the Whole Hog is used as well.
That is very good. It makes my heart happy to see. But we
here we go.
Okay, oh, that poor Ana. Moment of silence.
Here it goes. Yep.
Oh, that was both dirty and beautiful, and I feel for you, Ana. That was a great Death Blossom sneaky kill from that Reaper.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
It's about time.
Welcome back to tonight's esports broadcast brought to you by Boise State Esports. I'm still your host, Jacob Jim Mountain Palmer, and if you are just joining us, we have been seeing some absolutely amazing matches from the Missouri High School Esports Association between various high schools in Missouri, and we are going to be getting to the third match of the night. Actually seeing one of the teams that we saw in the first match, Francis Howell Central, is going to be going up against the Wildcat Wraiths, and joining me to help call all the action tonight, I have got Madison Nerdy Bird Benjamin. You know, the real kind of ultimate takeaway that we've been seeing tonight is unexpected, because everything that we're used to seeing here on the collegiate level has kind of gone out the window as the players from these teams range from bronze to masters. So we are seeing so many unorthodox picks, so many unorthodox plays, and so many unorthodox maps too. It's just everything's new tonight.
I'm not going to lie, I'm loving it. I mean, you know, when you go from a high stress level of Overwatch gameplay that we're used to seeing, and it's like there's, so to speak, a book that everything kind of goes by, you know what to expect to some degree. But when you open up this door and allow for people of so many different skills to play together, it allows for some really interesting combinations to come out, and for some aspects of player skill that we wouldn't normally see highlighted during, you know, a standard college level game, be able to be, you know, brought into the spotlight, so to speak, during these matches is really awesome. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've really enjoyed the Junkrat play we've seen this evening.
It has been amazing, some of the individual skill that we've been seeing on the Junkrats, on the Hogs with those hooks, and we are seeing Francis Howell Central versus the Wildcat Wraiths thus far. I do like that name, really fits into the whole Halloween spirit, the Wildcat Wraiths. And I do have to agree with you, Nerdy. You know, there is something to be said, obviously, you know, not to undersell the great job that we see from our collegiate players on, say, the stage that we're looking at right now, the blue turf. But there is something, you know, I'm kind of getting that vibe that you get, like if you're playing Overwatch with friends, or if you're playing a game, you know, like Smash, you know, Smash Bros, you know, definitely has a competitive scene, but there's also nothing quite like just that casual thing where you're just getting all of your friends together and just having a fun time.
Exactly, and I know that we don't have the opportunity to meet these players firsthand, but in my heart, I would like to believe that a lot of these cases, these are players that know each other outside of their team environment and probably got on this team together as friends, and so it's more like it's an opportunity for them to spend time together and to really bond, and it's more for the enjoyment of the game than anything else.
Well, expect a little bit of top-level coaching coming into some of these more casual games, I suppose. Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch will be to win the first fight always, call your targets early and follow through, have a plan for every ultimate, and of course get your midterms done early. Those are Doc's keys to the game, brought to you by Count. And it really is something to see these players that, as we were saying, you know, might be brought from, you know, a more casual setting, but that also isn't something to undersell in of itself, because that's how we've seen some collegiate teams be formed as well. You know, just some players who are already playing the game just casually between each other say, hey, we have enough players for a team. Why don't we just do it?
Yeah, I 100% agree, and maybe we'll get some more backstory as we get further into this competitive series as we open up this next map once again on Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood being a little bit of a different play. Normally we see Control being played first at the collegiate level. We've seen Busan kind of being the de facto map that we start out with, but it is going to instead be Hollywood, and I gotta say, it is amazing nerdy to go a full night without seeing Kings Row. We haven't seen Kings Row at all. We have instead seen Hollywood, Temple of Anubis, Havana. It has just been an amazing change-up.
There is no complaints coming from me whatsoever not seeing Scrims Row this evening.
Well, what are we seeing in terms of comps being brought out by Blue Springs right now? The Wildcats bringing Red and KC Vet being on the Ryan Zarya composition, whereas Francis Howe also being on the Ryan Zarya composition as well.
Yeah, they are, and actually surprising, both these teams are running very similar comps. The only major differences that I am seeing are the support, so to speak, but that will not change the win condition that is present for both of them, as we do see, unfortunately, Bradley on the side of Blue Springs was taking out quite early on this engage, and so that respawn timer is going to be a big hampering on the side of Blue Springs to sustain and prevent Francis from getting this point right now, as we do see the Reinhardt kind of just swinging in that front line, getting anti-healed, the backup, and not even getting pressured right now as his health pool drops super low.
And speaking of super low health pools, Blaze was getting really close to being eliminated as the Coalescence is used by Francis Howell. Blaze being eliminated right as his ultimate came offline. Earthshatter being used by Brett in kind of a more reactive way isn't going to swing the tide of the battle as Francis Howell keeps getting the eliminations onto Brandon's Bandly. Redcon and KC Vet now being eliminated, as well as the Reinhardt kind of comes charging in as a last-ditch effort. That really isn't going to work out.
Unfortunately not. I do believe we saw Cobalt pop that Coalescence insanely early. We've discussed this time and time again. Coalescence is one of those abilities that, yes, it's a Q, but it is more like on cooldown with how quickly it charges. Cobalt's already got almost 50% on their ultimate again, but the thing is that we didn't see any kills get picked up from that Coalescence. It's not that powerful as a damage-dealing ult. What was really the focus there was to sustain your front line, using it to do a little bit of damage, but mainly heal up your tanks while they're just doing the damage.
And we see the elevator right up with the Graviton Surge being used as well. The Mercy is going to be taken out by Yoda as Blaze gets an elimination onto the Lucio. Blue Springs finding themselves at a disadvantage now as Yoda is eliminated by Blaze 22. Now Asteroid is going to answer that right back. So Francis Howe managing to maintain the advantage, pushing the payload forward even more as the Shatter comes out. Red being eliminated, followed by Redcon as well. Cobalt also using that orb to get rid of KC Vet as well. Just Francis Howell not finding themselves on the back footing at all during those past engagements.
Unfortunately, there was a decent chunk of staggers happening, and the focus fire that's occurring right now onto the Reinhardt shield for Francis is very difficult to handle, plus the high ground that the Widowmaker on the side of Francis is able to get right now is playing huge into their advantage because Blue Springs is not able to get that high ground. They are engaging with a Riptire though, and is it gonna get, ooh, it picks up the Reinhardt, so that is a huge pick right now. We do see this Widow though is kind of getting free picks from the upper left side. Yoda's not being pressured whatsoever, and that is not a good thing. You cannot let a DPS just have free reign like that.
I do have to say, I was expecting a little bit more from that Riptire since it was being comboed with the Graviton Surge, and that is one thing that we have seen separate a lot of teams tonight, especially Francis Howell, because when we saw him in their last match, they kind of notoriously weren't comboing their ultimates.
Yeah, and maybe that could have just come with, needing a little bit of warm-up time with one another. They may not have had, the hours of time together before the match started that we see coming out from Boise State. So that's something that just, again, comes with time. Lots of time.
Lots and lots of time. Oh, you're giving me flashbacks to piano practice. It's just practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, practice makes perfect as we go into this next fight right now. We do hear the nano go off, but this Reinhardt is just taking too much front face damage and is taken out by Marvel right there. And that's going to give a huge opportunity for Francis to push forward as there is a Graviton Surge, and is Marvel going to hit that Q? No, he's just going to take out a triple kill without the Q button. This man is an animal.
Oh my goodness.
Could not pick up the auto. That was a valiant attempt, but holy crud, was that a flex. You just got a triple kill and didn't even Q for it.
And you hold down the left mouse button to win. I certainly have no complaints about that, and he is going to still have the Death Blossom available to him as the other team comes right onto the point. Could they just be walking into their doom? He is going to use it. There goes one, and Bandley is going to be eliminated as well, so only one from that Death Blossom, but still a general flow of eliminations coming through as the Dynamite is going to take out KC Vet. Forrest was able to get that boob onto the Moira, and Francis Howell in a very clean push getting 3 points.
Yeah, I do believe that was that better than their last push? I think it was. That
yeah.
was a lot better than their last push. I don't know. I feel like their Rhine and their Reaper were definitely vibing with one another a lot more during that match. When it comes to survivability of Reinhardt, because he is so slow when it comes to the tanks, he has a large health pool, but other than that shield, he does not have a lot of defense. So having a Reaper or a Lucio kind of tucked in your back pocket is very quintessential to survival. And in a lot of cases, as a support player, I will stick with my Reinhardt and pray that my Reaper is sticking with us, because if those three are together, good luck trying to kill anybody.
I do have to say, I do like that in this whole futuristic aspect of Overwatch, we still have the cheesy alien props being used in Hollywood studios. So you always got it's practical effects. You know what I mean? You got to step away from that CG every now and then. But now as we look at the overall comps, Francis Howell on defense is going to bring out Ryan Zarya again as Blue Springs switches on to dive.
So Blue Springs is... I think they actually anticipated Yoda picking that Widowmaker, as we did see Yoda get decent picks and turn a few fights during the last match, playing that Widowmaker as well as the other DPS that they're capable of playing. So bringing out the Diva, a Sombra, and a Tracer, all three heroes that are able to go toe-to-toe with a Widow is a very smart play coming from them. But we do see that they're also going with that Winston route, and they're going against that Reinhardt and the Zarya. So this is going to be really heavily reliant on Retcon to make sure he's using his sound barriers wisely to keep his team up.
Blaze 22 you see here on the Sombra is going to be going up the side, maybe trying to get a little bit of a hack onto someone. You see him taking the side route here, and now the other team is going to charge right through, manages to push some damage and hack onto the Reinhardt. Yoda, though, is going to get the first pick onto Retcon right now. That's kind of why it is important to maybe choose the dive comp to get rid of this Widowmaker, because Yoda has been so good on the Widowmaker. Marvel getting a double there onto Blue Springs as KC Vet manages to take him out as well, but no point take thus far for Blue Springs.
So previously, you heard me mention something known as like prime a sleep shot from an Ana. In this case, when you're playing Sombra, you need to be telling your team who you're planning on hacking and making sure it's a viable hack target so that your team can follow it up. That Reinhardt was a great hack, but there was not follow-up from the team. They could have turned that fight a lot faster had they communicated that. That, again, comes the time as we are watching this Tracer kind of just shoot into the Reinhardt shield right now with no major focus, and Yoda is able to take out Bread. Yoda did swap over to the legs, so no more Widowmaker.
Diva Mac also is eliminated, so no more Widowmaker, no more Diva Mac, but Baby Diva still managing to stay alive. You see Yoda, though, on the top level, being able to push a lot of damage down, and Sador is going to be the one to pick up KC Vet. Marble, with some help from the Lucio, gets rid of Ice-T as well, and with the amount of time that Francis Howell has, every engagement becomes a bit more dire for Blue Springs.
Unfortunately, yes, and Francis Howell is coming up on some major ultimates on their side. They do have that Graviton Surge almost ready to go. It is ready to go. They don't have a definitive combination ult with it, but honestly, you can send a Reinhardt into that with a Moira Lucio support and just swing and stay alive. So Retcon has less than 15% to get that sound barrier. He really needs to get it if he's planning on saving his team from that grab.
Well, now as the next engagement comes through, we see Graviton Surge is going to be used by Francis Howell. No eliminations follow that up except for Marble getting the one onto Blaze 22. Sador is going to follow that up by getting rid of the Tracer as the Diva Mac and Baby Diva get eliminated almost simultaneously, meaning Blue Springs has to reset yet again with Francis Howell only using one of their ultimates there, and is now going to have 2 more online as the Death Blossom and Beat are very close to being used.
I'm not going to lie, trading a Graviton Surge for that fight, especially with how quickly the fight was able to conclude for the side of Blue Springs, was very advantageous for them. I'm happy they didn't hit any of their cues. I do see the possibility of an EMP bomb combo possibly happening if they time things right, and I am praying and hoping and my fingers are crossed that we do see that happen.
Oh, we might be seeing it. You do see.
It's right there. Diva, come on, you can do that. Come on, please.
Oh, we didn't see the deep bomb being used instead. Right as the hack went. Oh,
that was so close. You do hear the sound barriers get popped from both sides, followed up by that attack visor and a Earth Shatter coming out as Retcon goes down. Ice is following up with the Coalescence, trying to keep their front line alive, managing to sustain Winston throughout that entire ultimate. Diva, unfortunately, is going to lose that mech, and Marble's going to take out the pilot. Asteroid's going to follow that up and take out Moira. Winston's going down, as is Tracer. So now we are under 1 minute. That's enough time for 1, maybe 2 engages from the side of Blue Springs, but they have no ultimates ready other than a Pulse Bomb. So that Pulse Bomb needs to be stuck on a very important target, and that target most likely should be Forest or Cobalt.
Francis Howell still has the Death Blossom as well, so Blue Springs using all the ammo they had, still not able to take it as CKC Vet is going to go through the choke point, followed by the Reinhardt. His damage just gets pelted onto them. Brett getting very low on health down to second. There goes the Pulse Bomb. Nothing coming from that as well, and that could be the final nail in the coffin for Blue Springs as Francis Howell has more resources. Blaze 22 very low on health is going to get healed out. There comes the Death Blossom. It's going to pick up 2, and they just go down like bowling pins. The team kill coming on to Blue Springs. What an amazing Death Blossom to finish off a perfect defense from Francis Howell Central.
That was dirty. That was very dirty.
That's more than one we've seen thus far tonight on those Death Blossoms being absolutely devastating.
I mean, Reaper's always been a force to reckon with, you know?
Yep, he definitely is. The one moment you don't pay attention, you have that Death Blossom in your backline. We are still looking at Francis Howell Central versus the Wildcat Wraiths. I am here, Jacob Gem Mountain Palmer, joined by Madison Nerdy Bird Bange, bringing all the action tonight. And the main thing that I have to wonder is, what map are we going to see next? Because we have seen so many maps that we don't expect. Do you have a wish list of an off-the-wall map you want to see?
I know that, like, it's not super duper loved, but because of the playstyle of everyone that we've seen this evening, I'm going to push for Eichenwald. I really want to see some Eichenwald play, just because I've seen Forrest on that Lucio. He's redded it a few times. I know he's capable of getting some boops off that bridge. I know both these teams can play in Orisa, and there's an opportunity for some dirty hook sucks off that bridge as well. So.
Well, I am actually looking at a little bit of a spoiler list right now, so I can't give my general play right now. But we are going to take a look at some of the stuff that brought us to this moment, and we have seen here, you know, stuff like the Death Blossom and the Riptire, which we also see right here, have been very impactful tonight.
Yeah, honestly, when it comes to huge ultimate, DPS ults that do produce such concentrated damage in a small area, it's very hard to counter if you do not have the proper comp to counter those ultimates. So in this case, a sound barrier would be the best means of survival or spreading out, so to speak. And a Reaper Death Blossom, honestly, the best thing for that is a Diva defense matrix. But playing Diva into a Zarya when you're not comfortable with it is very difficult. Granted, the current higher echelon meta does call for Divas to counter Zaryas, but at this gameplay, we cannot, you know, anticipate and expect players of all skill levels to be able to eat Graviton Surges, so you're relying on your other Zarya, basically, to counter a Reaper ultimate. It's a little difficult.
And what was so interesting about that last engagement is it looked like they were trying to combo with the Graviton Surge. Here came a very nice Death Blossom. We have just been talking about how great they have been thus far. And we saw kind of what was so great about this moment, and I don't know if we're showing it on screen right now, but it was around this moment, we saw the Graviton Surge coming out, and he didn't even have to use his Death Blossom. He just left click and got a triple.
Yeah, so I actually would like to talk a little bit about Marble a little bit, because during that last engage, yes, we saw previously in the alley access up to the final point, he ignored using his ult for a grab, got a triple kill, no big deal. Was walking with his Reinhardt up to the next point. His Rein uses his Shatter. Reaper just ignores it and then continues to go forward and then ults. That is just some severe discipline from that Reaper player for sure.
Oh, and here it comes.
Oh, is this yep, the backline Death Blossom. You gotta keep watch of those high ground areas. Like, it's just given up too quickly, and this is what happens.
Yep,
this is why you hear everyone scream Reaper whenever Reaper's in our backline.
Well, definitely a lot of screaming of Reaper going on there on the side of the Wildcat Wraiths. Unfortunately for them, not being able to take it, as Francis Howell Central doing a lot better job than we saw first from them, and it is not going to be Icon World, but Dorado instead. Still a map that we don't see that often.
Yeah, it's not a map that we see very often, but this is a high ground haven map, as I would like to put it, so the opportunity for a Widowmaker to come out and maybe, you know, show their prowess would be great, but we are seeing the picks kind of leaning more towards those brawly characters, as we're seeing Marble again on that Reaper. Not surprised, as he's very gifted at Reaper play. We do see Bentley on the other team, though, picking out the Echo. And on the side of Blue Springs, they do not have a hit scan ready to counter an Echo Mercy pocket. And also the Echo will have the backup of the Diva as well. So I'm interested to see if they're able to break that comp.
Now, Francis Howell Central is going to be on the attacking side for this first push. You see Blue Springs up on the second level there with the Reinzura. They also have Yoda on the Genji. We have seen some interesting Genji play thus far. In terms of picks, we once saw him trying to take out a Widowmaker. Was almost successful on Temple of Anubis, wasn't quite able to put it away. So I'm going to be interested to see how well Yoda does on this Genji too.
Yeah, and when we're looking at this, we see obviously there's going to be that Nano Blade play attempt to be made, as we do see Marble unfortunately kill Blaze right there. The thing with that Nano Blade, though, is that Blue Spring is going to be able to engage with the Lucio speed boost, but Francis is not going to have anything to counter that ult other than a Mercy Valkyrie, so they're going to have to deal with that using just their shifts and E's. So I'm curious as to how they plan to tackle it.
Blaze 22 also making a slight swap onto the Hanzo. KCVET is going to be eliminated from Francis Howell as Bandley goes back a little bit here, being pocketed by that Mercy. Still no real push thus far. They got up to that choke point, but not quite there, about halfway to the first checkpoint. See also the Genji up on the top level there is going to go back. They definitely spot him as they're going to go up that side route to the left.
Yeah, and this honestly is one of the hardest choke points when you're playing dive into a Rein Zarya comp, because if that payload does not move underneath that archway, it creates very narrow sight lines and makes it very hard for dive comps to be successful in this area. But there's a split comp happening on the side of Blue Springs right now, so maybe Francis can use the Genji's very vulnerable body as an advantage to them and kill him before he gets this Genji Blade off.
Yeah, the Genji play as well as the Nano Boost is really close, but that Death Blossom from Marble, you got to keep him in mind. If there's one thing we've seen in the past matches, it's you got to be careful of those high grounds in Marbles when you have this Death Blossom. There goes the Graviton Surge, followed by the Lucio beat, as Blue Springs is going to go right in trying to take out Francis Howell. As the Diva Bomb is used, it's going to be able to take out Yoda. You also saw the Nano Boost and the Valkyrie being used by Francis Howell as well. It's the Primal Rage is now going to be used as the Winston's going to try to get right in their face, right into the face of Marble right now. He's going to go right into the backline. Francis Howell continues trying to get it under the payload, under the arch. Forrest and Sador are going to be able to take out Blaze and Retcon respectively. Bread is the only one on Francis Howell to get an elimination thus far, as Sador, with some help from his supports, is able to take out Noodles. And now Bread being eliminated as well. Francis Howell is having a lot of trouble getting past this choke. KCVET also, that's not a good stagger that you want. The Baby Diva just going to have to run back.
Yeah, Francis Howell, we can see that they're pushed up almost all the way to that archway choke point right now, and they are giving themselves literally walking out into the open to the hit scan on the side of Blue Springs. They need to be staying back, and once Bread went down, honestly, you needed to have retreated because you're just charging the enemy ultimates. Blue Springs is in a very advantageous position right here because they just have to funnel all of their damage down at that Reinhardt shield, and it leaves the rest of Francis Howell's side very vulnerable. So now Francis Howell needs to be taking other paths than just going directly at the payload like they are right now.
Well, we do see the copy is being used on the Reinhardt. There goes the Dragons from Blaze Range, who is going to be able to take out Force, and this might finally be the opening they were looking for as the Shatter comes down. The Genji Blade also popped on the side of Blue Springs. Marble eliminated, and he had decided to hold on to his Death Blossom there as they finally managed to push past the choke with some help from that Shatter and Dragons.
So we do know that Forrest went out very quickly during that last fight, so the re-engage is still a possibility here if Forrest decides to speed boost Marble onto the point, but they're not going to. Very smart of them to wait, and I'm hoping to see another drop down from above Reaper Death Blossom here very soon, as we see Yoda trying to get up to the high ground on legs right now. I think he's trying to find Blaze before Blaze finds him.
You definitely see the Reaper is in the minds of Francis Hao. KCFed is able to eliminate Yoda as Blaze still manages to try to get some sort of pick onto Blue Springs as they push forward here. You also see Blaze was one of the players. There goes the Death Blossom from Marvel. You cannot count him out when you least expect he's going to be right there to swing it back in the favor of Blue Springs.
That was a beautiful Death Blossom that, honestly, we've said it once, I'm going to keep saying it throughout the remainder of the evening. The DPS plays are very important at this level of gameplay, and you are heavily reliant on your DPS, and you can tell that both Blaze, Yoda, Marble, and Banley are all very comfortable on their hero picks right now.
Blue Springs still has the nano, but they don't have the DPS ultimates anymore. So I mean, you still got the 2 tank ultimates, but that is something we've seen trip up the teams in the past. You know, hitting both of those tank ultimates with nothing necessarily to follow it up, as both of them are used by Blue Springs, and they do have some eliminations to show for it. But the Shatter is going to be brought right back by Francis Howell, getting 2 eliminations of their own. Still enough for Blue Springs to push through, as that Hog is going to be taken down, putting a bit of a stagger onto Blue Springs as well.
So unfortunately, one thing that it's more audio obvious, well, it's an audio cue that I'm picking up on a lot, is we're hearing those kill confirmed happening. We're hearing the hero deaths, and then we're hearing 1 or 2 more ultimates happening on top of that. And that is, I feel like that is what's being the driving force in these fights that are flipping, is not predicting the usage of enemy ultimates and using your own at the right periods of time, and using them when on an already won fight is kind of pointless.
We see Marble here getting a bit of attention from that Hanzo. Francis Howell having having 3 ultimates, as they're going to be using the first one from the Hanzo. Is it going to pick up anybody? KCFed does get Yoda, but ultimately nothing is going to come of that. Here comes the Death Blossom picking up Bandlead, and no one else. KCFed answers that back by taking out the 2 tanks from Francis Howell, as the whole Hog is being used by KCFed now. It is eliminated, excuse me, the 2 tanks from Blue Springs. And Francis Howell now has finally found what they need to push to the checkpoint.
Okay, so we're seeing Blue Springs prepping to be playing inside right now. They're switching over to that Reinhardt Diva comp. I don't know if the Diva, yeah, so that is what they're planning to go inside with. I'm a little shocked that they would move off Bizarria for the indoor movement, especially because those bubbles can help out a lot with K-Vet, who is getting some dirty hooks right now. But maybe we'll see a huge Diva bomb in there. I have faith.
Maybe. It would certainly be nice to see. I don't think we've seen anything beyond a double or even a single from a Diva Bomb, so none of those huge Diva Bombs thus far, as Redcon does get the elimination onto Cold Vault, putting Blue Springs at a disadvantage as they try to defend. You see the high ground being taken by the Hanzo and the Genji, both Shimada brothers, managing to stay alive as Bandley is very close to his Nano Blade. Both Earth Shatters are available. There goes the first round, and answers that back to the Reinhardt. Are you kidding me? That is an amazing counter shatter, allowing Francis Howell to continue with this push as they are Chokeborn. Both teams at full strength, and there goes Cobalt eliminated. There goes the Pulse Bomb. Is not going to pick anyone up. Actually, Yoda does manage to get Bread, although that's going to be credited as a normal elimination. Followed by Force and Yoda being taken out by the DPSs from Francis Howell. Those DPSs coming in clutch, and here comes going to put a lot of damage onto that Diva before she dives out of the way.
I'm not going to lie, Francis Howell did not do a full reset right there. They were very vulnerable. If the side of Blue Springs had decided to push up and really scout out what was happening, they could have seen how squishy those targets were and completely flipped this fight before it happened. But now the ultimates are kind of wavering more in the favor of Blue Springs as we hear Genji hit that Q and get slept instantly by Cobalt. That was dirty. And the Transcendence is going to come out to try and save an anti-Reinhardt. So Bread is going to go down, unfortunately. Now we do have the Diva Bomb is ready and it's going out. Come on, get some kills. Double kill! Yes! That is what I like to see. I'm counting that.
Well, Blue Springs managing to hold off Francis Howell to just 2. So now if they can get a full push, they will be the ones to ultimately tie it up, as Francis Howell was actually the first one to win that first match. So they are Blue Springs currently down by 1. They might be able to push it to a third game, which we have not seen thus far tonight. It has all been clean sweeps thus far.
I mean, I personally would love to see this go into a third map, and I don't know if anybody in the universe is going to ever review this video, but Blue Springs, if you are hearing me, here's the strat. If you're going to continue to try this Reinhardt Diva combo, Rein, Diva, become best friends with each other. You need to talk, believe it or not. Diva, when you have that bomb, ask your Rein, can you charge the enemy Rein? And as soon as he hits that shift, you hit that Q and you send that bomb flying, my friend. That is the strat. I want to see it happen. You had a clean double kill that could have been bigger. You got this. Full faith.
That has been Nerdy's piece to the game before this third match. And what is a very important match for Blue Springs is they have an opening now to bring this to a third game. We do see the Mei being brought out from Francis Howell. First time we've seen her tonight.
Okay, so Mei is the bane of everybody's existence. I don't care if you are unranked or you are Grandmaster. Everyone has a bone to pick with Mei.
And especially now, this match taking place beforehand, but her also getting a few buffs in the balance phase.
For real, and Blaze, we've watched over this player's shoulder more than once. They're very skilled. I'm excited to see if I'm hoping we're gonna see some wall and maul tactics happening, but Blaze needs to be careful and not get too cocky right now, as they are already splitting off away from their group. And if you don't use your abilities right on Mei and you do that, you can die first a lot of the time.
Well, now we get to that crucial choke point that had Francis Howell really eat up a lot of their time. So if Blue Springs could hold them here, that would be great, as they're kind of split up with the Diva on the second level there as everyone else tries to push through on the first. There goes the wall, and they manage to bring out that Reinhardt. He's going to take a whole lot of damage, but he manages to escape before he gets taken out.
Yeah, there just wasn't enough follow-up ready for that wall. Again, it comes down to that communication, like looking to wall, wall, and then your team needs to be ready for it, just like right there. But unfortunately, it was just a little too close to the payload and gave the opportunity for Blue Springs to heal up during that wall at least.
Well, the wall's going to be off of its cooldown, so they might have another chance right here as she goes into her little hiding place. Going to put up the wall again, not managed to necessarily peel anyone off. There is still no eliminations from either team. Coalescence is now available to Cobalt, and it does come out to try to push them through, but there goes the Transcendent. It's going to keep Francis Howell alive. That's a great counter there to that, although the Coalescence, not so much known for its damage, but its healing ability can help your team push through, as Yoda and Marble finally managed to break through Francis Howell's defenses, taking out one of their DPSs. Now 2 DPSs down for Francis Howell. That follow-up is going to be allowing Marble and Yoda to do their thing, take up 2 more eliminations, and push through to the first checkpoint.
So I will not lie with you, that Transcendence was great. That was perfect. It would have been all Francis Howell really needed to counter that. Unfortunately, what they did do was pop their nano boost at the exact same time. So going to this next fight, they have no support ultimates ready to go. They have both their tanks, however, and both their DPS almost ready. But that is one of those things that comes down to whose ult is going to be countering what ult from the enemy team, and communication is key in that case. You should really be avoiding popping multiple ults at the same time. And I'm seeing Asteroid right now with this very obvious Diva Bomb ability, but they're trying to deal with this Reaper on the high levels. I'm begging you, Asteroid, please let me see some dirty Diva bombs.
Well, it is going to come down to this right now. We'll see if he decides to use them right now. Bentley taking a lot of damage, is going to be safe from Francis Howell. There goes the Shatter. Is he? No, he's not going to be able to use it. And Francis Howell still having 3 ultimates available to them. There goes the Diva Bomb. They're prepared for it. They're prepared for it.
That was just, that was too telegraphed. You gotta get your Reinhardt to kill the other Reinhardt. That's just how it's gotta be. As we see this Blizzard come out onto the payload right now, it's going to freeze up Diva. Reinhardt's gonna go down. Diva's going to be able to pick up Blaze, and surprisingly though, that Diva Bomb broke my heart. Blue Springs is still pushing.
Yep, despite that unfortunate setback, they are going to get to this second checkpoint unless Francis Howell... Well, no, there's enough time for Francis Howell to still push through here.
Francis Howell has plenty of time plus plenty of ultimates, and on the side of Blue Springs, they are not really going to be able to counter the Graviton Surge that's going to come out unless there's a lot of healing getting pumped. And the anti, that's just a little too much to handle. I would trade a Coalescence for a... Well, okay, you just traded Coalescence for a Graviton Surge, a Death Blossom, and an Earth Shatter. That is honestly shouldn't be too heartbroken right there, Blue Springs. That gives you a beautiful opportunity to have another great re-engage. However, do you see what Blaze did?
A Blaze did?
Just look at Blaze real fast.
Oh, fish. Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Blaze is planning to play, considering he's
Yeah.
going directly into a D.Va. And as a former D.Va player, I can tell you, we make your life horrible as a McCree.
Well, another thing that I was a little bit more focused on Bread using that Earth Shatter way late in the engagement, which you were talking about earlier, Nerdy, with the fight was already clearly won there, and that was just an ultimate flush down the drain. Vanley is going to be able to get rid of Marble, and he still has that Death Blossom he's been holding on to, and Marble's been the one tonight to just really, just all the Reaper players, excuse me, have been so great with their Death Blossoms that you gotta keep that in mind, especially if he starts to try taking the high ground.
I mean, for sure. A part of me is going to say that they're playing Reaper because it's the Halloween season, but Reaper's a staple hero, let's be real. Their prowess on Reaper and their ult control has been fantastic from both from the DPS players, as we see this Moira engage Cobalt with a Coalescence and D.Va Bomb combo. Unfortunately, not going to pick up anyone, but Bread is going to go down on the side of Francis as well as Vanley. So that puts Blue Springs up by 2. Moira is also going to go down to Asteroid. It looks like this is a clear take on point B with a little less than 90 seconds remaining for Blue Springs.
Yeah, and the stagger onto the D.Va right now. They just completely surrounded her, ran out the clock a little bit, is going to give them a little bit of more advantage. And because Francis Howe took so long to get to the third point and weren't able to take it in the end, they now have a good amount of time to try to push through here. Marble still with his Death Blossom. Now, if this Dead, he's going to have one opportunity with this Deadeye here. I don't know. It might be more of a zoning Deadeye opportunity, but I'm going to go insane if this manages to get more than one. Here we go. Is it going to pick up anybody? That shield is up.
So I will not lie, picking the McCree is probably to counter Yoda and Marble a little bit on the side of Blue Springs because their DPS are definitely very skilled players. And that's oh my goodness, double Earth Shatters followed up by the Death Blossom is going to get 3 kills for the side of Blue Springs, but Cavett is going to be able to follow that up, as is Blaze going to be able to pick up 2 more. Yoda as well. That D.Va Bomb is not going to do anything, so that of course is going to hurt my soul. As we do see that Francis House Central is swapping over to that Lucio, and we hear Bentley popping that Death Blossom without a full clean reset coming from the side of Francis Howell. I don't know if they're going to be able to win this fight.
Yeah, a lot more Desperation ultimates coming out here as the D.Va Bomb is available for Blue Springs. I don't think, nope, they just jumped, yep. And they dunked back before, they knew it was coming. So unfortunately from that initial double here, nothing really coming through in terms of the D.Va Bombs right now. And there goes the Coalescence as well as the Nano Boost from both teams, but Coalescence is going to allow Blue Springs to get that healing they need to push forward, allowing Center and Fourth to get those 2 eliminations. Now KC-Vet has their D.Va mech taken as well as the Baby D.Va. They keep getting eliminations, but they still haven't managed to push forward. Here comes the push, but the Tracer rushing right onto the point is still going to contest that payload. Just going to keep dragging this out as they have managed to hold them down to 1 minute. There goes the Tracer, and is anyone going to come out? No, and Blue Springs has managed to take it.
Yeah, that was a fantastic push from Blue Springs. They made great time throughout that entire map. I don't think they're disappointed one bit.
Yeah, and Blue Springs is actually going to be able to take the match with that one. So no third map for us, but I don't think we can necessarily complain with how much variety we have seen tonight.
I'm not going to complain one bit. That was a blast. I absolutely adored being able to watch that, and kind of returning to that back when I first began playing Overwatch, and it was so heavily reliant on me, you know, saying DPS, please get the good kills, kill the big people, and keep me safe, so to speak. And it's not so reliant on me actually paying attention to where I'm standing.
Yeah,
I miss those days, and so it was really great to be able to watch DPS players kind of just have a ball.
yeah, they were definitely the ultimate carries for each team. As we are going to take a little bit of a look back here at what got us to this position tonight. Ultimately, we are going to take a look at the calendar coming up very soon here, but until now, is there anything else that really stood out to you tonight other than the DPS plays? I know we saw some attempts at some combos being brought out forward, but those really didn't come through as much as, I gotta say, the Death Blossoms did.
I mean, yes, the Death Blossoms and like some of those shatters were definitely the highlights of the evening, but if I were to be like trying to give advice to either of these two schools, well, I think we saw 5 in total this evening. So any of these schools as a whole, it would be that, like, the one thing I saw was it felt like while they were in the game, they weren't like establishing themselves. They weren't being the ones to, set the pace and be like, this is where the fight's going to happen and this is how it's going to happen. It was just kind of like, it's going to happen when it happened and happen when it happens. Where it happens, I don't know, so to speak. So they need to get, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, get their big boy pants on, and make sure that they are out there making their presence known, picking the fight locations, and make sure they are the ones being the aggressors 100% of the time.
Well, now we're going to take a quick look at the broadcast schedule coming out. We do have League of Legends playoffs coming up on Halloween tomorrow, so you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. Of course, we also have Collegiate Rocket League, Valorant, and Overwatch, and Gridiron Rivals coming up with Colorado State, Hawaii, San Jose State, and UNLV, which we've had a bit of a history with, so that will be great to see. But the next Gridiron Rivals, we will want to tune in next Friday on the 6th of November, so definitely a lot to look forward here as we've got Halloween coming up next for actually 2 very important dates for the next broadcast. Halloween and then Election Day are going to be the next broadcast.
Wow, way to not put stress on those days whatsoever.
It's not like anything important is happening on those days. Just, play well and make Boise State proud.
Yeah, very true.
And we are going to take a quick look here at the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard. You can see here that although the Coalesce is not so much known for its damage, but its healing ability helped your team push through as Yoda and Marvel finally managed to break through Francis Howell's defenses, taking out one of their DPSs. Now 2 DPSs down for Francis Howell. That follow-up is going to be allowing Marvel and Yoda to do their thing.
Well, that was dirty, and the Transcendence is going to come out to try and save an anti-Reinhardt, so Brett is going to go down, unfortunately. Now we do have the Demon Bomb is ready, and it's going out. Come on, get some kills! Double counting it! Yes! That is what I like to see. I'm counting that. So I will not lie, picking the McCree is probably to counter Yoda and Marble a little bit on the side of Blue Springs because their DPS are definitely very skilled players. And that's oh my goodness, double Earth Shatters followed up by the Death Blossom is going to get 3 kills for the side of Blue Springs, but Cavett is going to...
putting Blue Springs at a disadvantage as they try to defend. You see the high ground being taken by the Hanzo and the Genji, both Shimada brothers, managing to stay alive as Bentley is very close to his Nano Blade. Both Earth Shatters are rebel. There goes the first round and answers that back to the Reinhardt. Are you kidding me? That is an amazing counter. Pelted onto them. Brett getting very low on health down to second. There goes the pulse bomb. Nothing coming from that as well, and that could be the final nail in the coffin for Blue Springs as Francis Howell has more resources. Blaze 22 very low on health is going to get healed up. There comes the Death Blossom. It's going to pick up 2, and they just go down like bowling pins. The team. I knew it was going to be that Death Blossom in the end there. You just had to wait for it. You really only need to hear the excitement of it to really, sell the to really know how impactful those were. But overall, a great night. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you, Nerdy, for being in the studio with us, bringing all of that commentary and having a very nice video wall now that I am still a bit envious. So it was great to see that. And we hope to see you tomorrow on Halloween for those League of Legends playoffs, so be sure to tune in then. For now, though, this has been the Missouri High School Esports Association's showcase of high school matches, brought to you by Boise State Esports. I'm your host, Jacob J. Mountain Palmer, saying have a good night.